Welcome to Better, folks. It's hard to miss more and more businesses and homes turning to robotics, specifically artificial intelligence.
There are all sorts of uses for this technology, and it turns out the U.S. is actually not on the forefront. Here to tell us all about how they work and what we can expect moving forward, Stan Prager of GoGeeks. Hey, Stan.
Hi, happy Friday.
Happy
and same
Friday.
to you. So you bumped into Marty at your local Stop and
Yeah,
Shop.
anyone who's been to Stop and Shop in East Long Meadow and some of the other ones has probably seen Marty. He's a 7-foot-tall robot.
You can't miss Marty.
You can't miss Marty because he's a lot taller than I am. I mean, most people are taller than I am, but Marty's way taller than I am.
He's way up there.
And and Marty's ostensible purpose is to patrol the store, report on spills on the ground so that they can clean it up. He's supposed to scan the shelf tags to make sure that the prices are correct. And I'm sure he also serves in a security role to if someone's doing something, I suppose. So there's a lot of things to it. But what's interesting about Marty is that, like all robotics today, there's AI built into it. So presumably every day Marty will get better at his job, or its job, as
Right,
Marty,
you're already referring to it as...
we have a pronoun.
Yeah.
So he'll learn what he does and get better at it as time goes on, as far as, how to report spills, what kinds of weird things can happen in the store. It's kind of striking to us because the United States is fairly far behind the rest of the developed world in robotics. For years, all we've had is this silly vacuum cleaner, the Roomba.
The Roomba.
Which people who have it are going to dispute me.
It's great.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I knew immediately someone would dispute me.
But you're right.
So-
That's about. Is it a cultural thing? Why haven't we embraced robotics as much as, say, the Japanese?
It's
Right.
hard to say. Now, the Japanese are number one.
Right.
And the Japanese have a 250,000 robot workers, including humanoid androids like Westworld type creatures. It's not quite that advanced, but they sell tickets at movies. They're developing a whole core of elder care robots, which they're about to roll out, because Japan is a shrinking population, an aging population. They don't have a lot. They have very little immigration, so there's very few people to do these kinds of tasks. So the elder care robots will monitor, medication, make sure that they're doing okay life-wise, can report fires, things of this nature.
So it makes sense for their culture. Now, here in the U.S., what do you see as the future of these robots?
Yeah, Marty's only doing cleanup on aisle 2 at this point.
Right.
Very menial things.
Right. Well, so even though we're behind the scenes, no pun intended, there's a lot of robotics happening in this country.
Sure.
We may be like 6th or 7th in the world with it, but there's a lot of it doing jobs that used to be things that unskilled workers would do, like in a factory. So when people talk about these kinds of jobs are never going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of somebody pulling a lever or pushing a button all day. A robot does it already, but it doesn't look like Marty, or it doesn't look like Westworld. It's just a robot. It's just an industrial robot. It doesn't have any human form to it, okay? But what will eventually happen is they will roll out robots here, just like everywhere else, that will do a lot of tasks, and they will take somewhat of a human form. We already have animal robots that the police use for bomb squad.
Right.
It looks like a dog, but it's a robot that goes in.
It goes in, checks the package.
They can go in really small into a tiny area, can crawl in, and can check things out. It's got a camera. It can detonate a bomb. It can do all kinds of things. So this is what the future is going to hold.
Yeah, but we have to take the baby steps. And that's when I first saw Marty, I thought of it almost as a beta test. Like, I don't know what that thing does. But it has to be fairly rudimentary at this point until we get used to seeing robots. In other words, it's a baby step towards more robotics that we'll see in real life, correct? I mean,
yes.
What does Marty do other than maybe monitor, as you say, some price tags and spills? But you can get people to do that already.
Exactly. And obviously there is a step forward to replace or, again, cut back on unskilled workers with robotics, which they feel, and it's philosophical, obviously. It's, a lot of people will be offended to hear that, but part of what's happening is as technology is replacing workers, it's also opening up new jobs in the technology field.
Somebody's got to fix them or build them.
Right.
One day, I can hardly wait for the day that somebody brings Marty into GoGeeks. Because he needs a board replacement or something like that, right?
Exactly.
So there's that kind of thing. And in fact,
Up your skills.
I have tried with no success to reach Japanese companies with, wanting to be considered in the future.
Test the
if
product
they ever roll this stuff out, to have somebody repair them, because you're going to need to have somebody, work on them.
Right.
And I'd be happy to be the guy.
It's a fascinating conversation.
It is.
I could keep going, but unfortunately we're out of time. Stan, good to see you.
Good to see you.